So my name is Darien Burress, and I am the owner of Black Girl in Bloom.
My name is Aniyah Donner. So with my floral business, Dooney de Fleur is basically like a play on words because Donner means to give in French. So the pronunciation is Dooney. So Dooney de Fleur means to give flowers. So that's how I came up with the name for my business.
So I actually started out working in a mom and pop shop when I was in college, and really all I did was run the front of the store. So I rang people up, I did wrap bouquets, took care of plants, that kind of thing, and they would not let me design. So I have a background in fine arts and sculpture, and so when I moved to St. Louis, which was about 4 years ago or so, I was like, you know what, like I want to do this. Like I was really interested in flowers. I always use them in my like sculptural and visual arts work, and so I was like, let me make this transition. And so yeah, I started out at a Deerberg's here and literally was like, whatever I can do to like get into the world. And so I was just doing like rose dozens all the time and corsages and boutonnieres, and then like found my way into a shop, and from there I just like taught myself everything I wanted to know. And like rewind a couple years, I've been in business with my business for about 2 years now. I started that just because I felt like I wasn't getting the appreciation that I deserved as a florist, or like the pay or benefits, and really just like not being allowed to fully create and be free to do so. So I was like, you know what, I believe in myself, let me do this. So Black Girl in Bloom kind of stemmed from that. The name comes from the idea that I'm always blooming, I'm always growing, I'm always a work in progress. And so I see my career as the same thing. Like there's always room for us to grow as people, as artists, as people in this industry. So that's kind of where the name came from. I mostly focus on event work and weddings and things like that at this time, but I would love to like transition into like doing TV and network stuff and doing more commercial floristry. That's kind of like my big goal and dream, because I love installation work. This is my bread and butter. So when we were like asked to do this, I was like, guys, I have an idea, I have a concept, can we do it?
I am a native of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. However, St. Louis has always been my second home. My mom is from St. Louis. I have a lot of family from St. Louis, so I will always go back and forth. And then I went to school in Chicago at Roosevelt University. And in Wisconsin, I did study fashion retail marketing. So I wanted to combine the two and be like a fashion editor. Of course, life happens, and it just didn't work out that way. And then when I moved here to take care of my grandmother who has Alzheimer's. So the goal was to find like some peace and do something that, I don't know, just could resonate with me, I guess. And then with writing, I wasn't feeling it at the time. It was during the pandemic. So I started at a floral shop and then worked at a plant nursery, did both at the same time. I'm like, you know what, I can do this for a living. And then that's how I came up with my business. And it's been like 3 or 4 years now, 4 years. Yes, I had the opportunity to meet all these beautiful ladies here and back with me, all these beautiful business owners from St. Louis through, it was, where did we meet, ladies? Art and Bloom, there it is. It was Art and Bloom. I met them for the first time, and everyone was so supportive. And one thing about St. Louis with the community here, especially in the Black community, everybody is very supportive to help you navigate through your journey with business, entrepreneur, like anything entrepreneurship related, especially with floristry here. We all support each other, updates on, hey, this is where you could get some flowers, some florals from Miami or whatever. It helps to have that type of family dynamic with the girls and just anybody, guys, girls, they, them, whoever, to have that support here in St. Louis.
So I actually am from Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I'm a transplant. And yeah, I feel like the St. Louis community, like when you first get in, like you necessarily, like you don't have that community experience. It's very hard. I think primarily what we find in the floral world is like elder white folks. And so like we all met back in January at orientation for Art and Bloom. I had already known Mima and T, but then I got to meet the rest of the girls, and it just kind of like grew from there. Like when you walk into a space and there's only a handful of Black people, that's always how Art and Bloom is, right? That's always how like this industry is. But you see each other and it's automatically like, I got you, and you're in community with one another. So it's like as we went through that Art and Bloom journey together, we just had each other's back. Like, you have questions, you need a mechanic question, like you need something, you need support, we were all there. And it was just instant, because when you're in community and you don't typically have that, like, you work together. So it's been wonderful to build with the rest of the florists here. I think that we've created this sort of like family, in that we will always have each other's backs. Like, if there's something we need extra hands, like one of us is tapping in, kind of thing. So I'm super grateful for it, because before that it was lonely. So Art in Bloom is this event that the St. Louis Art Museum puts on every year. And it's basically a competition where 30 florists are selected out of hundreds, based off of a blind portfolio review. So you submit 3 photos of your work, and then they're ranked, and then the top 30 people are able to be a part of the competition. When you go in for orientation, you're randomly assigned an artwork that exists within the museum, and then your job is to interpret that piece. So however that manifests for you. So it's a great opportunity for me. I love it. This is my 3rd year was this year. And I think it's just an opportunity for me to like combine my 2 worlds, like as a visual artist and a florist, which I think they already kind of are one and the same, but you get to explore it a little more and be a little free in that. So I think the conceptualization came from like when we were initially talking about that Dred Scott versus Sanford case. It's like acknowledging and honoring the pain and the oppression and the violence that our ancestors endured to get us to where we are now, and knowing that we're still growing, we're still blooming to come out of that. So that's why we started the piece with all of those reds at the bottom and all of that deepness, to represent the bloodshed, to represent the pain, to represent all that we've had to come from. And then you see like the flowers kind of explode out of it. You see the color come to life of us blooming and growing and just showing our excellence. So I really wanted to show like, yes, we have this history, but look at us and look at where we're going. So this installation is kind of like branching out into my other wheelhouse, because back home, what I did, a lot of my artwork, we did a lot of like action work. We did a lot of community organizing. We did a lot of activism work. And so this kind of like brings me back to that. And it's a really great experience, because we're speaking on our history. We're speaking on things that are important and matter to us that the general public does not care about, you know? So it's a way to really like come together and celebrate all that we are, all that we have been, all that we come from, and all that is ahead of us. And so I feel like in honoring George Washington Carver and honoring Dred Scott, we have this opportunity to like say, here we are, and here's our history, and here's what's beautiful about us, and here's what makes us powerful. Really getting to stand in that, and stand in that in community together. Because look at us, there's a bunch of Black folks out here designing at the Missouri Botanical Garden. So it's like, this is an experience that is almost once in a lifetime, and like, we don't get this every day. So I feel like it's a celebratory moment, because this is for us and by us.
Yeah, so George Washington Carver, he is actually a Missouri native. So it really hits home. And with him being an entrepreneur and dabbling into science, which we are dabbling into science as well with the plants and botanicals, it resonates because of the resilience. So with being African American and taking ownership in things that are already native to us, and in some of these spaces you don't see us, but you know, with our history, with our ancestors, we live and breathe this, you know, with the botanicals, the florals, the agriculture, plants, and all things, nature, the blooms. So it really connects. It's like full circle doing this and having this experience with the team here.
I mean, I see in our futures a bunch of business, a bunch of money, like prosperity is on the way. You know, I really see us thriving and thriving in community, which I feel like is very necessary for all of us. Like, a lot of us haven't had that. For Black Girl in Bloom personally, yeah, I want to stay booked and busy. I want to keep doing installation work. It's my favorite aspect of being a florist. It's like having those opportunities to make a big impact and really just like bringing beauty into the world. So yeah, it's just a great opportunity for all of us. I think we're going to thrive and continue to grow and continue to shine. And like, you're going to see more of each of us. 100%.
So community is very important to me with what we're doing today. Thank you for being here. The team, the youth, this is really important. I wish something like this existed when I was a kid because wow, this is incredible. Just seeing them take ownership and pride in what they're doing, and it's a confidence booster too. So with Do Need a Fleur, what's next? To be honest, I'm optimistic, and I'm a jack of all trades, so probably jewelry. That's another thing. Festivals, more festivals. It would be nice to have my own floral shop one day, maybe. Fingers crossed. But right now, I'm just open-minded to whatever comes my way and that I can align with, and anything that is intentional, because being intentional is very important to me.
It's my hope that as they see us and they see like what we're able to accomplish, what we're actually out here doing, the ways that we're able to engage community, that they can believe in themselves too and understand that there is a space for them. Because I think the reality for a lot of us is like we don't see the space, we don't see it available to us. And so I think in a sense we get to be those trailblazers that make space for them and show them that they can do it. And in some sense, Mimo has been that for all of us, like showing us what you can do being an urban farmer, what you can do when you believe in yourself and you work hard and you put the work in. And so I think it just kind of, it'll continue on in that pipeline in the sense of like, you can be prosperous and you can do things that you're passionate about. There is some like level of like community programming and stuff. So we've even talked about like doing some summer programs and like finding ways to teach some classes and engage our young people in this world, because in some sense I think the floral world is dying, but at the same time it's growing in new ways. So the traditional floristry that you see and that we've had around since the 80s and 70s, like that's no longer relevant, but what we're doing here is.
Okay, so like one last question. If there's anything you could say from your lessons throughout your journey, and specifically, being in St. Louis and being part of this community, what's one thing that you think the rest of the country could learn from the St. Louis florist community?
Well, never be afraid to pivot, because you may have a plan in place and it may not go that way, but it's always a blessing in that journey. So with the floral community, pivoting, community building is really important. So I would say that pivoting and community building goes hand in hand with the St. Louis community here in Floristry.